farcical, so unpredictable, here on the SNL Network.
Yes, that is right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the SNL Network's first podcast of 2022. Wow, can't believe it. I mean, we just wrapped up a crazy end of 2021, and we are back here for the start of the year. Hopefully will be a great year in SNL. And, as we're getting ready for what should be a very fun January, we have 3 SNL episodes coming up towards the end of January, with the first episode being announced today with host Ariana DeBose and musical guest Roddy Ricch. So it'll be fun to get into all our coverage of that over the next couple of weeks and getting into what else is going to come in January. Hopefully we'll get those announcements coming up very soon. Okay. So for tonight, if you're joining us for the first time, welcome to Trivia Night. This is our third Trivia Night we are doing, and every single time we have done Trivia Night, we bring in this guy to host the show, and that is James P. Stevens Jr. James, how are you?
I am great. Happy New Year, John. You look marvelous, my friend.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, James. Yes. James, how are you? How was your New Year's? Did you have a nice holidays?
It was a great holiday season, and with the family, and out to LA for a little bit. Coming back, I feel healthy. Got a little thing here. Wondering today if it's a fever. I think I have a fever, but the only prescription is more trivia.
More trivia. Exactly, more trivia.
More trivia.
Yes. And I was very jealous, James. I saw that you had a very nice time with Rich Tackenberg. You went meeting him over in LA. So it's great when the SNL Network podcasters can get together.
Indeed it is.
Yes. Okay, let's get to everything we're doing today. If you're joining us in the live chat, you can play along with our trivia night, and we are going to explain exactly how to do that. So let me just set the table for what's going to be happening tonight. We have 2 teams of 2 contestants that are going to be playing against each other on the podcast. In a moment, James will explain the rules of the game. So if you haven't joined us for the previous trivia nights, you will learn how to play. I will then explain for the YouTube chat how to play along. We will introduce our teams, give you the categories of the game, and get the game going. So, James, let me send it over to you. How is the trivia game going to work tonight?
Yeah, pretty simple, John. The format is a game of 10 questions. Each of the questions has a different category that we've teased for our those that are playing, and then they're going to make a wager between 1 and 10 points for each of those. We will have a good nights round at the very end. That's kind of similar to Final Jeopardy. But they'll wager 1 through 10 based on their confidence with the category or what they might perceive the category is relating to. Then after each question, we will give the question. They'll have 1 minute to answer. So we'll give 60 seconds on the clock. Each team will send 1 player. They'll kind of alternate to the stage. John will bring them up, and they will have the opportunity to answer. We will ask for the wager first, which will be written on the card or something like that. And then the answer, which will also be written out, we'll keep score and go from there.
Yeah, exactly. And YouTube chat, basically, you're playing the same game. You're playing along. You will hear all the questions. You hear all the categories. You will wager a number between 1 and 10 only once and answer those questions as we go through. But in order for you to play along, you are going to play along with the links in the YouTube description. Okay, so we're going to ask very kindly to just ask to not affect the game on the podcast. For anyone who's playing in the chat, please do not write your answers into the chat. The way to play is you go to the link in the YouTube description that corresponds with that question. We have our intern, Hallie, who is monitoring the Google Forms in the background and keeping score for everybody in the chat. So periodically throughout the game, we're going to announce the scores for everyone in the chat to see, who's winning the chat game as well. That doesn't mean that you can't participate in the chat and talk and have fun and say, oh, that was a good question, or maybe John and James, that was a horrible question. You can have fun in the chat. Just please don't put the answers in there. We'll also have a few what we call commercial breaks where we will give you an opportunity to answer those questions in the chat as well. Those are questions that are not for the on-camera contestants. Those are the questions for the people in the chat. Okay. So if anyone in the chat doesn't understand anything at all, please write in the chat, and I'm happy to answer, or Hallie will as well, about how to play along. All right, let's introduce the teams that are going to be playing our game on the podcast so we can get things going. And let's bring up our team A, and they will introduce themselves. So let's bring up Brennan Keller, and let's bring up Scott Sandler. Hey, Brennan. Hey, Scott. All right,
Hello.
so thank you guys for playing with us. Let me start with Scott. So, Scott, this is the first time I get to meet you on the podcast. Can you tell the listeners about yourself and your history with SNL?
My SNL history started with a semi-sweet a night where I was having sleep troubles, and I heard the Borat cold open in my mother's room. I was about 12 at the time, and I wasn't really staying up that late yet. So, even for a Saturday night. So, and I didn't start watching regularly until I think the next season. Around the time of the the last show before the writer's strike.
Yeah.
That and then I was basically watching regularly from there, and when
Awesome.
when the show came back, so did I, and
That's great.
Yeah. As for the movies, I think I've only seen both Wayne's World and the Blues Brothers.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll give you a clue. No SNL movie talk tonight, so you don't have to worry about
I figured that. There's 47 seasons of content to choose from. Why do you need the movies?
Exactly. Well, thank you for joining us, Scott. It's really great to have you, and I look forward to talking to you throughout the night. Also joining us is one of our patrons. We spoke to him on a patron feedback show earlier this season, and it's great to hear again from Brendan Keller. Brendan, how are you?
I'm doing good. Same as I don't know if James is we're live for this, but I am getting over a cold or sickness right now too. So it's not the cool COVID that everyone's getting right now. I took the test and everything, and I failed. So whatever, it's fine. But I know I'm feeling a little left out there, but no, I'm doing pretty well. So if you didn't see my Patreon feedback show, I started watching. I grew up with the best of DVDs, like best of Will Ferrell and best of Dana Carvey and stuff like that. And the first episode I ever watched was around it was like a January or whatever. Fred Armisen was the president, and the episode started with the presidential seal, and I was bamboozled thinking that the president was on at 10:30 at night, and I wasn't going to be able to watch a new episode of SNL. So,
and Brendan was the only person in the world who thought that Fred Armisen was actually the president, by the way.
Yep.
So,
yeah.
But yes, Brendan, so great to hear from you, and we just had such a great chat with you. So really happy to have you on the show. Brendan, you guys have a team name that you came up with. So why don't you tell the listeners what your team name is?
I came up with the Astonishers, which combines Astonishers with Ask Dan.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Scott. Perfect. So the Ask Danishers will be Team A. Okay. So great to meet Team A. We're going to send you guys backstage to get ready for the game, and we're going to bring up Team B. Okay. Good luck, Scott. Good luck, Brennan.
Thanks.
All right, let's bring up Team B, and this is Ian and Brandon who are coming on screen right now. So excited to get to talk to both of you. Brandon, let me start with you first, one of our great patrons who I haven't gotten a chance to talk to on a podcast before. Brandon, can you tell the listeners, how you fell in love with SNL?
Well, I just remember staying up late, going to watch SNL at 11:30, growing up with like Keenan, Kate McKinnon, Bo and Yang. I grew up with them, but I think I'm very young. I'm 19 and I'm still enjoying SNL. I've been watching for like 10 years, and my parents let me stay up until 11:30. It was absolutely crazy for them to do that. But I've just been loving the show, and I know a good amount, and it's an honor to be here.
Well, yeah, it's an honor to have you. So thank you for joining us. And, someone else who I'm honored to get to talk to, because he is a wealth of SNL knowledge. And I actually did a whole podcast with him at this time last year, at the beginning of 2021, just talking about him and his podcast and catching up, talking shop about SNL and other shows. Ian Fermaglish is here. Ian, how are you?
I'm great, and thank you for letting me play with my children.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it's lots of different types of people, different generations here. So Ian's just happy to have you on the show.
And you got James Vanderbeek to be my partner, which is great.
Yes, that is true. Yeah, former host, right, James Vanderbeek. So, Ian, for those who haven't checked out your show or don't know you from the SNL community, just tell the listeners, how you got into SNL.
Sure. It was like the other people mentioned. I was 8 years old, and it was 1985, and Pee Wee Herman was hosting Saturday Night Live, and I started watching then. My parents let me stay up, and now it's 36 years later, and I have a podcast where I get to talk to the people, the writers, the cast members who I watched when I was a kid and before I was alive.
So awesome. Yeah. And you do a great job on that. So, Ian, Brandon, so happy to get to talk to you. Brandon, Ian, what was your team name that you came up with so the listeners know who Team B is?
Our team name is Dan Hader, which is a combination of both of our favorite SNL cast members, his being Dan Aykroyd and mine being Bill Hader. So we just combined them. It was Ian's idea. I'm going to give credit where credit's due. And that's where we're going to be.
Okay, well, great choices. Great favorite cast members. Okay, so Brandon, Ian, I will let you both get ready for the game while James introduces the categories for everybody, okay? All right,
Sounds
thanks,
good.
guys. All right, James, are you ready to introduce the categories? So if you are in the chat and you are getting ready to play along, please listen to the categories, okay? James, go ahead.
Yes, for our studio audience, here we go. Category number 1, wedding bells. So category 1, wedding bells. Number 2, the category is make it double. Make it double. Category 3, thank you for being a friend. Category 4, who are you? Number 5, the category is eat your greens. And number 6, the category we have is it's never too late. Number 7 category, frank and lively. And for number 8, our category is recurring characters. Category number 9, breaking records. And for number 10, the category is Mr. President. John, back to you.
Okay, so we are going to get our game started in just a moment. So reminder for the chat, please put your answers in the Google forms that are in the YouTube description. Please do not put them in the chat as we go. All right, Team Ask Danishers and Team Dan Hader, we are going to get our game started with question number 1. James, are you ready to go?
I am ready to consume mass quantities of trivia. Here it is.
Let's do it.
Number 1, again, category is wedding bells. Wedding bells is the category. During Dick Ebersol's run as executive producer, he married one of the show's hosts, albeit not on the air. Which host did Dick Ebersol marry in 1981? So, John, we've got 60 seconds on the clock. I'll reread the question here. Again, the category is wedding bells. During Dick Ebersol's run as executive producer, he married one of the show's hosts, albeit not on the air, though that would have been interesting. Which host did Dick Ebersol marry in 1981?
Okay. So a lot of people, for some of our younger listeners, James, a lot of people don't know that, there was a point in time where Lorne Michaels was not the executive producer of the show. And it was a very weird time at SNL.
It was a strange time. The show had a different feeling, but it did bring us some great folks like Eddie Murphy. You can't forget Eddie Murphy. So we got about 15 seconds left on the clock, and then we'll see who's coming up to the stage, John.
Yes. Okay. So James, but if you had to, let me ask you this question. If Lorne Michaels had married a host, who would you have picked for him to marry?
Wow. That's a strange question. I think he probably would have married Steve Martin, if I had to guess.
Yeah, exactly. Good answer. Good answer. Exactly.
Or Paul Simon.
Answer. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Paul Simon's the guy. Yeah, exactly. I think Lauren's wedding gift to Paul Simon is bringing Paul Simon into the Five Timers Club every time there's a Five Timers Club sketch.
Yeah, I believe you're right. All right, so time is up. We'll bring the folks up, and then I can reread the question, John. How shall we go here?
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to bring up from Team Ask Danishers. I will bring up Brennan onto screen. Okay, Brennan, you're on screen right now. And I'm going from Team Dan Hater. I will bring up Ian onto the screen. Okay, hello, Brennan. Hello, Ian. Okay, so what we need from you both before we get your answers is we need your wagers. So, Brennan, what is your wager?
9.
Okay, 9. And Ian, what is your wager?
7.
7. Okay, let's start with Team A. Brennan.
We had Susan St. James as our answer.
Okay, Ian.
I also had Susan St. James.
James, are they correct?
Both are correct. It is, in fact, Susan St. James, who Dick Ebersol married in 1981 on November 21st, 1981, to be exact. Susan St. James hosted on October 10th. And in that short period of time and the break in SNL that season between, I think, episodes 6 and 7, they got married, and they're still happily married and had several kids. And so, yeah, Susan St. James and Dick Ebersol is the correct answer.
Okay, great job, both teams. All right, so thank you, Brennan. Thank you, Ian. All right, so that is question number 1, and we have the Team Ask Danishers take the slight lead over Team Dan Hater 9-7 to get started. Okay, let's get to question number 2 for our contestants and our chat. And this category is Make It Double. Okay. Most seasons feature at least one double duty guest serving the role as both host and musical guest. When was the last time we had a season with no double duty performer? Okay, we're looking for a season here. Most seasons feature at least one double duty guest serving the role as both host and musical guest. When was the last time that we had a season with no double duty performer? Okay. 60 seconds on the clock.
60 seconds on the clock. And John, as you said, it could be any season. It could be, the answer could be season 47, the season that we're in right now, perhaps.
Okay.
But I don't know. It could be.
Yeah, it's hard to talk about this one without giving the full without talking about the people who have played double duty hosts. But obviously, we've had a lot of double duty people over the years, so it will be interesting to see if one of the contestants on the team does realize when it was the last season we did not have a host and musical guest double duty. And also, James, I will say for the chat, this is, you're supposed to be having fun with this one, so no looking up, no going on Wikipedia to check the host and musical guest. Just have fun with this one, okay?
Yeah, just put your answer out there, what you think it is, and we'll go from there. We have about 5 seconds left before we pull up the folks.
Okay.
So there it is. Time's up, John.
Okay. So Team A, Team B, Team Ask Danishers, Team Dan Hater, get your answers ready to go, and we will bring you up on screen. Make sure you have your wagers ready to go. And chat, I will give you the last chance to send in your answers on the Google Forms. Okay. For this question, I believe we are going to be bringing up Brandon and Scott for this one. Okay. So let me bring up Brandon on screen, and we have Scott coming in. All right. So guys, you both ready to go?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me start with Brandon on this one. Brandon, can we see your wager, please?
We're going to be wagering 3 points.
Okay, 3 points. Scott, let me see your wager.
We're going to be wagering 5 points.
5 points. Okay, 5 points on this one. All right, Brandon, let's start with you. Which season do you believe is the last season not to feature a double duty host and musical guest?
Ian and I have come up with season 46.
Season 46. Okay. Scott, let's get your answer for the last season not to feature a double duty host and musical guest.
Season 43.
Season 43. Okay, James, one of these teams is correct. One of them is not. So, you want to give the answer to the to our contestants here?
Yes. Let's go backwards by saying this. Season 47, the season that we're in right now, we had Billie Eilish in December, right? Doing double duty. If we rewind back one season, season 46, which was one of the answers, I think, from one of the teams, right? We actually had two that did double duty. No, we didn't. We had
No,
one.
we have one. Yeah.
We have one. I got excited. It was Nick Jonas, though, in February.
Yeah.
Now
So
we're
season
starting
46
to reveal
is not correct. Yeah.
is not correct, and so that immediately means that since you've revealed that someone has the correct answer, it is season 43. The 2017-2018 season is the correct answer. Season 45, we had two. We had Chance the Rapper and Harry Styles, and in season 44, we had Halsey.
Yeah.
And I
exactly.
think I don't think season 42 had anyone either.
You could be right, but we didn't check that. We just checked when the last season was. So thank you, Scott, and thank you, Brandon. So right now we have the team Ask Danishers takes a pretty good lead here, 14-7 over Team Dan Hater, but still a long way to go on this one. So
It's
thank
anybody's
you, Scott.
game. It's anybody's game.
Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Brandon. All right. Let's go to our next one. And James, over to you for question number 3.
Question number 3. Thank you for being a friend is the category. And the question is, Betty White hosted Saturday Night Live in 2010. Who is the only other Golden Girls cast member to host the show? So Betty White, we know, hosted Saturday Night Live in 2010. Who is the only other Golden Girls cast member to host the show? 60 seconds on the clock. And we will reveal that here in just a moment. So in the
James,
meantime, yeah, John, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, during your trip to California, I saw that you had you did something Betty White related. So why don't you tell our listeners about that?
Yeah, it occurred to me when I'm watching the news and I saw folks were placing flowers and all this on her Hollywood Walk of Fame star. I was in the neighborhood and I swung by over there. Had to catch the stars of Lorne and other SNL folks, but it was really cool to see the love that was pouring out from folks, leaving some memorabilia and taking photos. And then I really turned into a crazy person and found the actual house that they used for the establishing shot there in LA.
Cool.
And then also stopped by her gated home where a bunch of folks were also leaving flowers and things in her memory and honor there at her home. So she was a great one and an amazing host, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's wonderful to get to watch her episode over again. Okay, time is up, I assume, James. We're ready to go?
Time is up, yes.
All right, let's bring up Brennan and Ian. So here comes Brennan. Here comes Ian. Okay. Brennan, I will start with you on this one. Can you show us your wager for question number 3?
Ocho.
Okay, we got 8 on this one. Ian, can you show us your wager?
9.
9. Okay. Big money put down on question number 3.
Oh, yeah.
Brennan, what is the answer to this question?
First up, James, can you read the question out loud again? I know we got it right, but I just want to.
Happy
Do you want to be super confident?
Happy to do so, yes. And I can use it in the form of a sentence, and I'll do that.
Okay.
Betty White hosted SNL in 2010. Who is the only other Golden Girls cast member to host the show?
Okay, yeah, that was B. Arthur, but I thought for some reason I thought you said Golden Girls character. I was like, Betty White, the Golden Girls character. Oh, that doesn't sound right. But no, yeah, that's what you're right. Cast member, yeah. B. Arthur is what we got.
Okay, perfect. Ian, let's see your answer.
Yes, 1979, B. Arthur and the Roaches.
Ooh.
Nice. All right, so you don't get bonus points for that. James,
All right.
If we could give bonus points, we would. But yes, November 17th, 1979, B. Arthur, the first Golden Girls cast member to host. Though let's also remember we did see B. Arthur as well in season 1, or I'm sorry, season 2, Norman Lear film, with all the other actors from the Lear sitcoms. So that was kind of fun as well.
Yes, great job, teams. So right now your score is team Ask Danishers is at score of 22 and Dan Haters at score of 16. So a little bit closer, and we will see what's going to happen in question number 4. So thank you both. Okay.
But first, before we get to question 4, John, we are at our first commercial break.
Okay, that's great. So what's going to happen here is that James is going to read out a commercial break question, and he's going to ask for the name of the commercial. He'll give you the tagline. He'll ask for the name of the commercial. And this is a great opportunity that if you're watching live and you are in the chat, you can answer this question in the chat. So we'd like to see your answers. We'll call out the right answers on the podcast. In the meantime, while we're doing that, we're going to have Hallie give us the scores of the current chat leaderboard for that. Okay. James, are you ready with our first commercial break?
Yes. So these commercial breaks are not just breaks, but they're also commercial parodies. So we're going to ask for you to name the product from the slogan. So here comes the slogan. You name the product. This question is the following: the beer that made Boise famous. So name the product from that slogan. The slogan again: the beer that made Boise famous. And we will give a few moments here for answers to come in from our studio audience. How fun is
so
this?
we have anybody in the chat who wants to write their answers into the chat for that one. In the meantime, I will give the leaderboard after the first 3 questions. So our top 3 right now are John Ananias, who is at 23 points so far, beating both teams right now, John. So great job. We have Cole J, who's at 16 points. And Jamie Dew is at 14 points. Okay. So that's our leaderboard so far. If you're still competing, you can still get up there. We got a lot of questions left to go.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. Bravo, everybody. So let's get the answer here. If we can.
Okay, so we got a couple people. Yeah, we got Cole in the chat who says Spud. We got It's Saturday Night, Spud beer. John Ananias says I'd have to guess Mommy beer. James, what is the answer to our first commercial break?
The beer that made Boise famous. The answer is Spud beer from originally 1975. November 22nd, 1975. That's in season 1. Had 3 appearances of that commercial parody. The final of the 3 was actually in season 5. And that, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know, is written by Al Franken and the late Tom Davis. And John, why don't you go ahead and sing the little jingle?
No, thank you. Yeah, nobody asked. Are you really gonna make me sing?
When you say Spud,
yeah.
Just put your mind on hold. Come on, John. All right.
Yes, I'm not paid enough to sing on the SNL Network. So there we go.
But you can't deny that it's filled with full, rich flavor of potatoes.
Exactly. Okay. All right, contestants, let's get to question number 4. So if you're in the chat and you took a quick break for our commercial break, you didn't miss anything. So now we're going to get to question number 4. Okay. The category is, who are you? Who are you? Our question is, of all the former cast members that have returned to host, which one appeared in the least amount of sketches during their time as a cast member? So I'm going to read this very carefully, okay? Of all the former cast members that have come back and returned as a host, which one appeared in the least amount of sketches when they were a cast member? Okay. So, James, we're looking for, there's a lot of options here. A lot of former cast members to come back and host.
It's a very interesting question, and something that likely most people have probably not pondered.
Yes. So it is fun every now and then to throw in these statistics questions, but we're really looking for, there are surprisingly a few cast members over the years that, maybe were not in a lot of sketches during their time as cast members, but then maybe blew up off the show or whatever it is and have returned as a host. So you have to think about that when you're answering this question. I think it's a very fun one.
So let's break this down again, John. This is a former cast member. Yes. This is somebody who has returned to host at some point.
Yep.
And when this person was a former cast member, didn't have very many appearances.
No, exactly. So, and there's a lot of options here, actually. There's a lot of people who I would say that the answer is not so clear because there's a lot of people who are close, and it'll be fun to talk through this.
Well, time is up, so it is time to talk about it.
Okay, so contestants, get yourselves ready with your wagers. Okay, we're going to bring up Scott, and we're going to bring up Brandon. Okay, so for this one, I will start with Brandon for you to give us your wager.
We are wagering 4 points on this one.
4 points for Team Dan Hader. And Scott, what are you going to wager for this question?
3 points.
3 points. Okay, perfect. All right, Scott. I will, Scott and Brandon, I will read the question one more time just to make sure we are clear, okay? Of all the former cast members that have returned to host, which one appeared in the least amount of sketches during their time as a cast member? Brandon, I'll go to you first. What is your answer?
My answer is Iron Man himself, Robert Downey Jr.
Okay. Scott, what is your answer?
I have Ben Stiller.
Interesting. Okay. James, we have another situation here where we have 2 different answers, and one of the teams is correct, one of the teams is not. And the correct answer to this question is actually Ben Stiller. Ben Stiller was it was only in 10 sketches when he was a cast member on Saturday Night Live before returning to host. Robert Downey Jr. was in more than 10 sketches. So very close, Brandon and Ian. But the team Ask Danishers continue to take the lead on this one. So we now have a score of 25-16 Ask Danishers over Dan Hader, but still a lot of game left to be played here. Okay, thanks, Brandon. Thanks, Scott.
Ben Stiller, John, a lot of people will, the diehard fans know that he was a cast member, but it was that 1988-89 season where I think he was only in like the last 6 episodes of that season.
I don't even think he made it to the end of the season, if I remember correctly. I think he was there for like 4 episodes or something, and then he dipped. He was not having a good time.
Yeah, he was kind of in and out. That's for darn sure.
Yeah.
All right, so we're moving on to number 5, right?
Yeah, let's go to question number 5, James.
Okay, category reminder. Category number 5 is Eat Your Greens. And here we go. English singer-songwriter Derek Stevens is probably best known for this song in which the chorus becomes an endless refrain of choppin' broccoli in various styles and intonations. So that question again, this English singer-songwriter Derek Stevens is probably known best for this song in which the chorus becomes an endless refrain of choppin' broccoli in various styles and intonations. So, John, we're looking for the name of the song, right?
Yes, exactly. And because it is in the name, it is in the question, the words chopping broccoli. So, I mean, a lot of people make that assumption that that's the name of the song, but there is a different name that we are looking for with this particular question.
Right. The song is not chopping broccoli, but well, when we get to the answer, John, this might be the opportunity for you to sing.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, one day, I promise. Yeah.
One day.
When we get to 1,000 patrons, I will sing on the podcast. How about that?
You guys, you hear that? You heard it here first. Let's get the new year right.
Yeah, exactly. So while we're waiting for the answers to this question, number 5, let me ask you, James, if you hadn't known the answer to Who Are You, where we're talking about the cast members return to host with the least amount of sketches, would you have thought of Ben Stiller?
I think that's where my gut would have been. I definitely the two answers that were given, Ben Stiller and Robert Downey Jr. are the two that where my head would have gone. But I do think Ben Stiller was much more abridged his time on the show. Uh, Robert Downey Jr. was there for a whole season, so.
Yeah, I think I would have thought of Sarah Silverman also. That would have been the other one. That would have been close.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Love me some Sarah Silverman. Time is up, though, and we are ready to get some answers here on Eat Your Greens.
Okay, so let's bring up Ian and Brennan. All right, everybody. Here we go. Brennan, let's get your wager.
1 point.
Okay. Ooh, 1 point. Okay. Interesting. Ian, where are you going to go with this one?
8.
8 points. Okay. So one team is betting very big. One team is not.
Well, eating your greens, John. It's all over the map.
Exactly. Okay. Brendan, let's start with you on this one. What is your answer?
And before we get to this question, I want to read out the Ask Danishers chat for the last question. First answer I came up with Aykroyd, and I said, "Oh, I misheard it. Did Ben Stiller host?" Oh yeah, he did. And he goes, "Yes, twice." You can go with your answer. I shouldn't have doubted you. Good thing it was little points. Yes, let's go. Because he ended up going with my answer, and I couldn't believe it. Anyway,
nice.
Great momentum going with the Ask Danishers here. Will it continue into this question?
No, we came up with chopping with the little thing and then broccoli, and then I put an exclamation point at the end. So it's not chopping broccoli; it's chopping with extra stuff in it. So.
Okay, so you gave like a Lil Jon version of chopping broccoli.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, Ian, give us the right answer.
So, the lady I know, if I didn't know her, she'd be the lady I didn't know.
James?
That is the correct answer. The song is "The Lady I Know" because, I guess in parentheses, if I knew her, she'd be the lady I didn't know. That's how it starts. Yep, exactly. Played by Dana Carvey in his first episode on October 11th, 1986. A lot of folks know he used that bit in his audition. But it's if you've not seen that or just want to rewatch it, it's the Sigourney Weaver season premiere, October 11th, 1986. And I think Phil Hartman and Sigourney Weaver as the record producers who are really impressed by Derek Stevens kind of pulling it out of his
an all-timer.
Yeah, pulling it out of his ass. Dan is really a good one. So back to you, John.
Exactly. All right. Well, thank you, Brendan. Thank you, Ian, for that one. And I do have to say before I let you guys go, we have a close game here, folks. We have the Ask Danishers now have 25 points, and Dan Hader is making a comeback here with 24 points. So we're very, very close in this race. Okay. Let's go off to question number 6. And I will read this one out with the category. It's never too late. I always think of the JoJo song when I read this category. It's just a little too late. Okay. Question number 6. It's never too late. In 2010, Betty White became the oldest person to host SNL at 88 years old, following Mescal Spillman and Ruth Gordon. Who are the 2, and we're looking for 2, oldest men to host SNL? Okay. In 2010, Betty White became the oldest person to host SNL at 88 years old, following Mescal Spillman and Ruth Gordon. Who are the 2 oldest men to host SNL? 60 seconds on the clock.
Yeah, we're kind of showing some Betty White love here tonight, aren't we, John?
Yes. Yes, of course. So this is interesting because I do think that, we're asking for 2 because I think it's easier to name 1, but there are 2, so it'll be fun to talk about. I actually was going to say about the question number 5 when we were talking about the chop and broccoli. I actually think probably one of the best episodes in the history of SNL. I have to think, like, if we voted on greatest episodes ever, I would think that episode, that premiere for Jan and Phil and Dana has to be like at the top.
Yeah, Jan Hooks is another one of them that if you watch that episode with the understanding that that is her, premiere episode, it's pretty insane. And again, as you said, Phil Hartman and yeah, it's just it is a remarkable episode. It's one of my favorites for sure.
Yeah, just really just so good and very fun, honestly. Which the previous season was not as much, but this season ends up being a very fun one with this whole new cast that we get to meet at the beginning of season 12.
Yep, sets the tone for a whole new cast for sure. All right, so it's never too late, though we are out of time.
Okay, let's bring up our next two contestants, and we're going to bring up Brandon and Scott. And here we go. And we're going to start with Scott on this one. Scott,
Yeah.
can you give us the wager?
I think we're going with
The wager first, right? Yeah.
Yeah, we need the wager, Scott. You
6
can make the
points.
decision. 6 points on this one. Okay, we are going with 6. And Brandon, what is your wager for Team Dan Hater?
We are going with 1.
Okay. All right. So the 1 is being used up here. Okay. Let's start with Team B's answer first on this one. So I'm going to go to Brandon. Brandon, can you give us your answer? We're looking for, let me just read the question one more time. In 2010, Betty White became the oldest person to host SNL at 88 years old, following Mescal Spillman and Ruth Gordon, who are the 2 oldest men to host SNL. And we're looking for 2.
Our 2 names are Bob Mitchum and Broderick Crawford.
Broderick Crawford, the man who sat in the chair. Okay. Scott, let's get the 2 oldest men from you.
Milton Berle and Charlton Heston.
Okay. James, again, we have a situation here where we have one team who got the correct answer, one team who did not. And the correct answer for this one, both at 70 years old, Charlton Heston and Milton Berle. So great job to the Astanishers over here, who regain a bigger lead over here with 31 points. And Team Dan Hater used up their 1. They did not get that one. So it's 31-24 after 6 questions. Okay. Thank you, Scott. And thank you, Brandon.
John, just pointing it out that that was the second time Charlton Heston hosted, the one where he's 70, in 1993. And for those of you that have not watched that episode, that is another real treat. The Planet of the Apes cold open. It goes into the opening montage and the monologue. Outside of the ordinary in terms of SNL delivery, I think. So
Yeah, exactly. All right, James, you ready for commercial break number 2? And this is where the audience can answer in the chat.
yes, sir. Let's do it.
Okay, can you read this one out for me while I just get the scores from Hallie?
Yep, happy to do it. Yes, so commercial break number 2. Again, these are commercial parodies. You're going to name the product from the slogan, and our audience there in the YouTube chat, you can put the answers right here in the chat. So here we go. Name the product from this slogan. You gave him life, now give him confidence. So commercial parody number 2, name the product from this slogan. You gave him life, now give him confidence. And let's get those answers coming in here.
This is actually one of my favorite commercial parodies. So I do think that this is a very weird one. So if you do know this answer, please write the answer in the chat as well. And in the meantime, while you are answering that, let me update the leaderboard for the audience. And Hallie has been telling me that people have been getting a lot of incorrect answers. So we're stumping a lot of people, James, who are coming from the chat. So including in this last question. But after round 6, we have our highest commentators is still John Ananias is in the lead with 31 points. Cole is with 16 and Jamie has 14. So really in the past 3 rounds, actually, we have only had 4 correct answers from the entire audience.
The top 3 winners are going to get John is going to send a case of Spud beer directly to your home. Congratulations.
I thought you were going to say I was going to sing for them. That's what I thought you were going to say. But,
No, that's going to be the person in last place.
yeah, exactly. Okay, so we have in the chat, we have John and Anania says, Jensen's baby toupees. We have It's Saturday Night says brownie husband. That one we just saw very recently on the Betty White episode, I believe. Baby Spanks says Jenny Moore. And James, what is the answer for commercial break number 2?
You gave him life, now give him confidence is Nelson's Baby Toupees. Premiered January 21st, 2006 on season 31, and then was shown 2 more times. John, it was really from the good people who brought you Baby Beards. And again, not only was he the president, who was it, Bill Hader, I think, but he was also a client.
Yeah. Okay. You ready to move on with the game, James?
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
let's do it. Number 7, right?
Let's go ahead. Okay, contestants, get ready for question number 7.
Category is Frank and Lively. Frank and Lively is the category. This host's monologue was significantly edited in all repeat airings with a disclaimer stating that the host's commentary on the decline in standards of feminine hygiene was a frank and lively presentation and nearly cost us all our jobs. So we are looking for the name of the host. I'll read the question again. This host's monologue was significantly edited in all repeat airings with a disclaimer stating that the host's commentary on the decline in standards of feminine hygiene was a frank and lively presentation and nearly cost us all our jobs. So there you have it.
Yes. So my favorite category name, Frank and Lively, for this question.
Yes, it all makes sense now, doesn't it? Frank and Lively.
Yeah, exactly.
Indeed.
So question number, so this is very interesting. We do have a really competitive game going here. We still have Team B, who has not used up some of their bigger wagers, so we'll get to see what's going to be happening coming up soon. And Team A, I mean, it's a close game, so it'll be fun to talk through what's going to happen for the rest of the game, James.
Yeah, it's almost like you're saying it could be anyone's game.
Yeah, exactly. And I do want to talk more about this question a little bit more, I guess, after we give the answer. But I will ask you for the last question with Charlton Heston and Milton Berle. Do you remember their episodes at all? Anything interesting stand out to you?
Well, yeah, like I said, the Charlton Heston one was so amazing with the Planet of the Apes pieces. The Milton Berle is pretty famous in the sense that he kept mugging the camera and the cast, Lauren, everybody was really not a fan of working with him, in the course of the episode. So it has a different feeling based on that characteristic, I think.
Yeah, definitely one of the weirdest episodes in the first 5 years, that Milton Berle episode. Okay.
Yeah. So here we are. We are out of time, and let's bring up our friends here.
Okay, let's bring up Ian and let's bring up Brennan. All right, gentlemen. Brennan, can we get your wager?
It's the big one.
Okay. We got a 10 spot over here. This is the first 10 being used. And Ian.
Frank and Lively number.
Oh, okay. So
let's go.
We got 2 10s going here. We got some big podcast energy right here with 2 10s coming from both teams.
Well, this is a Frank and Lively competition here.
Yeah, big money on the board for this one. Brennan, let's get your answer first.
Do you want me and Ian to do it at the same time?
Yeah, let's do it at the same time. Yeah, Brennan, you're a great podcast producer. Let's do it at the same time. All right, gentlemen, let's see. What is the answer to this question? Oh, wow. Okay, so we got 2 Martin Lawrences right here. We got James. Are they correct?
They indeed are correct. Martin Lawrence, February 19th, 1994. Before he was able to, say crash test dummies are here with us tonight, he kind of offended quite a few folks, I would say.
I thought it was a Tic Tac commercial myself.
Yeah. Yes, he will not be brought back for that. All right, gentlemen, great job. We continue to maintain our lead for the Ask Danishers. It is now 41-34, but we still have a few more questions to go before our final round. Thanks, Brendan, and thank you, Ian. Okay, and I do have Hallie telling me that all of our audience got the correct answers on that one. So, very frank and lively question for everybody who's playing along. Okay. Let's go to question number 8. James, do you want to read question number 8 and then I'll do 9? We'll just switch this up. I know we had it originally, but you can do question number 8 if you want.
Yeah, happy to do it. So we're on number 8, which again, as a reminder to everybody, the category is recurring characters. Recurring characters. Question is, who killed Buckwheat? That's the question. As simple as that.
That's
Who
it.
killed Buckwheat?
Okay. So, do we want to talk about? Well, actually, we'll hold off with the Buckwheat talk for a second. Let's talk about this a little bit more. Martin Lawrence's episode, very crazy. I mean, that's something that I did not expect. I actually, when I was doing my original run, I knew who Martin Lawrence was. I was excited to see him host. I saw that he hosted the show. I was excited to watch it. Did not expect to see what I saw from Martin Lawrence in that episode. Your thoughts on that episode, James?
Yeah, I remember seeing. I mean, this probably ages me, but I remember seeing it live, going, "Oh man, this doesn't seem planned." And then I remember again seeing the reruns that would have those little disclaimers read by the great Jim Downey, who actually says the frank and lively presentation nearly cost us our jobs. But yeah, it's live television, and you're going to have over the years a handful of stories like this, right?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, James. So we're going to talk about Buckwheat a little bit coming up, and obviously we got to see Buckwheat a few years ago, and big character in the 80s for sure. And the question is, who killed Buckwheat? That is a answer that a lot of people would like to know, and we're going to tell you in just a moment. Okay.
Yeah, we are out of time here, so we are good to bring up our friends, I think.
All right, so let's bring up Scott and let's bring up Brandon. Okay, gentlemen. Brandon, let me start with your wager.
We are going to be wagering 6 points tonight.
Okay. Scott, let me get your wager.
7 points.
Okay. Brandon, what is the answer to this question on who killed Buckwheat?
Well, Ian has promised that he would help me with this one. Is Alfalfa. I'm really hoping I pronounced that right.
Alfalfa.
Alfalfa. That is
Yeah.
what he gave me. Yes.
Exactly. Okay. Scott, what is your answer?
John David Stutz.
John David Stutz. Okay. James, is it Alfalfa or is it John David Stutz?
I do believe that we, going into this one, John, correct me if I'm wrong, agreed that we would take either answer, and here's why. On the episode on March 12th, 1983, again, an amazing stylistic episode, again, in the Dick Ebersol era, where it's kind of doing the redundant news reporting style of no new information, and they just keep replaying the same clips and all that kind of stuff. Buckwheat has been shot, and eventually we learn, I think at the start of the next episode, the cold open, it was John David Stutz in this whole profile that was in the about him, and then he's shot Oswald style there, also played by Eddie Murphy. But then we later on learn that that Buckwheat had faked his own death, and the actual shooter. Well, here's the thing, John. The actual shooter was Alfalfa, but he revealed that he faked his own death. So I guess who killed Buckwheat is not.
Okay,
Anyway,
this is what we're gonna do. Just to avoid controversy, we're gonna give both answers correct. Okay, so that will be, we're gonna give both teams the correct answer for that one. So it will be 48-40 as we move forward. Team Ask Danishers is at 48, and Team Dan Hater is at 40. Okay, great job for both teams. So Hallie, if you're listening for the chat, if somebody put alfalfa, that is a correct answer as well. Okay. Okay, thank you,
That's
Brandon, and thank you,
That's kind of
Scott.
a trick question, wasn't it?
A little bit tricky. We try to avoid controversy here, so let's just everybody who got either no one, alfalfa, or John David Stutz is correct. Yes, and I see Cole in the chat asking, yes, no one is correct as well. So those are all correct. So Hallie, just want to make sure you clear that up for everybody. Okay.
And in anything, go back to the shelf and pull out March 1983 and check that out. You know, good stuff there.
Yes, for sure. All right, let's get to question number 9. Everybody, are you ready for category of breaking records? And that is a specialty for us here at the SNL Network. We're always looking to see who is breaking records. Okay, listen to this question very carefully. The top 10 all-time in sketch appearances on SNL, which includes on-stage or voiceover roles, are all current or former cast members, except for this person. Who is it? So, the top 10 all-time in sketch appearances, could be on stage or voiceover roles, are all current or former cast members, except for this person. Who is in the top 10 all-time in sketch appearances that is not a current or former cast member? James, this will be interesting to see if they know this one.
This will be interesting. Again, it's another very interesting statistic brought to you by your friends here at the SNL Network. Yeah, I like it. I like the question.
Yeah. And it's really, once we give the answer, I mean, you'll see it's pretty fascinating how many sketches we're talking about over here, but it'll be fun to talk through as we go. And I always love sketch appearances. This was something that I know I've talked about a little bit on the podcast, but this is something I spent a lot of the summer doing, which was getting these total sketch appearances counts. And the numbers here are just really fascinating to think about.
Yeah, no, it really is. It's very statistic based, and yeah, it's going to be interesting to learn the answer here for everybody. So maybe read it one more time, and then we're time's up, I think.
Okay. So, the top 10 all-time in sketch appearances on Saturday Night Live, which includes having an onstage or voiceover role, are all current or former cast members, except for this person. Who is it? Okay, and we are going to have our friends Ian and Brennan come up for this one. Let's see how confident they are by getting our wagers for the 9th question. Brennan, let's get your wager.
4.
Okay, we got a 4 for this one.
2.
Ian, 2. Okay. Brennan, let's start with you. Who do you think this is in the top all-time in sketch appearances that is not a current or former cast member?
I would have liked to save the 10 for this one, in case we could have gone out in a blaze of glory, but I'm pretty sure it's the man who bamboozled me on my first episode, Steve Higgins, who said, "Now a message from the President of the United States of America." It's my guess.
Ian, let's get your answer.
Okay, so my partner's going to kill me if what he said was right. But I'm going to go with Don Pardo.
Okay.
Oh.
Really? So this is a really interesting thing here that we have, James, because actually one of you two is correct. And what I would say is that a lot of people consider that Steve Higgins took over for Don Pardo for the voiceovers, once Don Pardo stopped doing them as much. So let me give that answer right now. And the person who is in the top 10 for sketch appearances, and by the way, I will say this, for anyone who is not a cast member, host, or musical guest, Don Pardo and Steve Higgins are in the top 2 for crew members who have been in sketch appearances. But the answer is Steve Higgins by a mile. Steve Higgins has had a role in 759 sketches, going all the way back to his original time on the show. On average, he voices many sketches per episode. Don Pardo has only appeared in or voiced 227 sketches. So Steve Higgins really dominating there. So we're going to give those 4 points over to the Ass Danishers. And we have no points given to Team Dan Hater. And we have a score of 52-40 going in to our final question before the final round. Thank you, Brennan, and thank you, Ian.
Yeah, Brennan and Ian, and actually both teams, your teammates as well. This is really a fun game here tonight because there's knowledge on both sides. There always is knowledge on both sides, but the answers are very good ones. And you might be surprised that it's Steve Higgins. I mean, he started as he was co-writer from 1995 to 97, and then has been a producer from that point, like all throughout. There's almost, and as we heard, Bamboozled. He almost is that voiceover at the start of so many episodes in the cold open. Now we see him as announcer on Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, and prior to that, Late Night with Jimmy Fallon. But let me just say this about the late great Don Pardo. And very good answer. So much of his things were done live reads, which Steve Higgins are often pre-records. So I wonder, just within the context of producing the show, if that makes a difference. Obviously, it does. But anyway, a great game.
Sure.
This is a lot of fun. All right, this is our last commercial break, right, John?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's get into our last commercial break, and we will give the chat results going into question number 10.
Yep. So
right,
here
James,
it is. Commercial parodies. You name the slogan from this. I'm sorry. You name the product from this slogan. The slogan is "Get it or get murdered." Name the product from the slogan. The slogan is "Get it or get murdered."
Okay. This will be interesting to talk about. Let's give the chat results right now after question number 9. And we still have John Ananias, who has questioned it, at 40 points in the chat. We have a new second place in Frank H. Robinson coming in with 34 points. And we have a tie for third place between Cole J. and Victor Higgins at 29 points. So Frank, you're definitely still in it. Cole and Victor, you're definitely still in it because we have one more question and we have the bonus round. The crazy thing, James, that I'm thinking about before we give the answer for this commercial break and let more people write their answers in the chat for this one, name the product from the slogan, get it or get murdered. I am very curious to see how far Steve Higgins climbs up this list. I mean, where does he get to a point where he starts passing some serious cast members? Could he be the all-time person with roles in sketches? Would be very interesting to see down the road.
So yeah, that 759 number, wasn't it, that you said the number of sketches is not the number of episodes, but the number of sketches. So, is there a average in the current episodes? I don't know, like 2 an episode or something. I don't know.
I mean, he's doing a lot. I mean, even one episode this season, he had 5 sketches with voiceovers. That was season 47, episode number 6. So, he comes in, does a lot of work for the show. And the cast members who I have a question in the chat from Cole, who are the cast members at number 1, number 2. Keenan is in first place with 1,482 sketches, and Phil Hartman at 1,009. So still a ways to go for Steve Higgins, but we'll see what happens. And Keenan obviously still just, stacking his lead.
So let's wrap up
give the answer for the commercial break.
Right? Yes.
Yeah.
So we're naming the product from the slogan, and John, you can see the chat. I'm not looking at it right now, so I don't know if we have any correct answers, but the slogan is "Get in or get murdered." And the answer is Broadview Security.
Okay. Perfect. Let's go ahead with question number 10. So
you were going to Broadview Security. Did we get some people who got that one? I don't think
we did. Nobody in the chat got Broadview Security. So
it's from 2010, and check it out. It's I remember it's like, are you a single woman who lives alone in a large 5-person house? Then you need Broadview Security. Bill Hader's the spokesperson. Nassim Pedrad, the single woman. Check it out. That's it's one you may have not remembered. It's a funny one.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's a good one.
Number 10.
Let's get to question number 10. And remember that you only have one wager left to go for this one. And then we will have our final round, and we'll explain how that works right after this question. Okay. The category is the season finale. Okay. Oh, sorry. Excuse me. That's the wrong category. The category is Mr. President. Excuse me. That was from the old one. Category is Mr. President. Okay. Question. This season, James Austin Johnson became the third SNL cast member to play the current president of the United States in their first episode. Who were the previous two cast members to play the president of the United States in their first episode? Okay. So James,
Another really fun question. We may have, if you were doing your homework, we may have revealed this earlier within our social media. True?
that is true. We did actually put this answer out on social media. We actually talked about this on the podcast. So if you are a podcast listener, you would know the answer to this. We spoke about this a lot during week number 1. So James Austin Stevens, let me read this out one more time. This season, James Austin Johnson became the third SNL cast member to play the current president of the United States in their first episode. Who were the previous two? Okay.
Yeah, it's really crazy to think your first episode as a cast member, you're playing the current president of the United States.
Yeah. Okay, so we're looking for 2 here. There's only 2. It's really interesting to think about. There's a lot of people who are famous for playing the presidents during their times on the show, but did they play the presidents in their first episode as a cast member? How much time we got left, James?
We are just about up, so we are good.
Okay, so for this one, we're going to be bringing up Brandon, and we're going to be bringing up Scott. Hello, gentlemen. Let's reread the question one more time, and then we will get your wagers and answers. This season, James Austin Johnson became the third SNL cast member to play the current president of the United States in their first episode. Who were the previous 2? Brandon, let me get your wager.
We are wagering 5 points.
5 points. That's what you had left. And Scott, let me get your wager.
Our final wager is 2.
2. Yeah, that is correct. Okay. So, will be interesting to see who gets this right. Obviously, if Team B gets this right and Team A does not, they will close the gap before the final round. But will Team A get this right, the Ask Danishers? And I will start with Brandon from Team B, Dan Hader. What is your answer?
Our answer is Jay Farrow and Randy Quaid.
Okay. Scott, let's get your answer for Team Ask Danishers.
We had Chevy Chase and Jay Farrow.
Okay. Interesting, James. So, from the answers that we got, Chevy Chase did not play the president in his first episode. He actually played the president in his 4th episode on the show. So, unfortunately, that is not correct. Jay Farrow is not correct either because when Jay Farrow became a cast member, Fred Armisen was still playing the president of the United States at the time.
Oh.
So,
Right.
both of you guys are incorrect. The correct answer, and hopefully some people in the chat got this, was Joe Piscopo in season 6 and Randy Quaid.
Playing Jimmy Carter. Yep.
And Randy Quaid in season 11.
Playing
So
Ronald
Randy
Reagan.
Quaid was correct.
All right.
Okay. All
And
right.
so you would need both.
yeah.
You would need both those. You would need Joe Piscopo and Randy Quaid
Yeah.
to receive the points, right?
Yeah. No half points for this one. So
Unfortunately.
it's
Yeah.
all or nothing. Okay. So I'm
Because
going
if you had if there were half points, and that would mean you'd be replicating another value that was already used, probably.
Exactly. That is true. Yes. So none of that. Okay. Thank you, Scott, and thank you, Brandon. We will see you guys for the final round coming up. Okay. So, James, before we explain how the final round is going to work, let's get the top scores from the chat, and the chat will be playing along for the final round as well, James. So we're going to have them give their answers as well. So let's do our updated chat results. After question number 10, we have John Ananias, who has 46 points. Victor Higgins, otherwise known as It's Saturday Night on YouTube, is at 37 points. And Frank H. Robinson is at 34 points. So tight race in the chat as well. Only 9-point difference there, and you can make that up. But let's get going with our final round. James, will you explain to the audience how it works for the final round?
Yes. So we're going to give a category here in just a moment, and the two teams will now be able to place a wager up to and including 20 points. And I believe, John, correct me if I'm wrong, that this is the one time where whatever they wager can be added or subtracted to their previous total.
Exactly. So if you guess wrong on this one, you will lose the points that you wagered. If you would like to wager 0, you can do that on this question. But you do risk the other team potentially getting it right and wagering a higher number and making a comeback. Okay? So
Do
James,
we ask for the wagers up front? I can't remember. I think
yeah, we'll ask for the wagers when we go. Actually, no, I think we do the answers first, then the wagers. I think that's how we end the game for the final round. But we'll start by giving the categories so that the teams can discuss the wagers and what they want to do. Okay, James, you want to give us the category?
The category, yes, is never an SNL guest. The category again, never an SNL guest. So our teams can wager up to 20 points. This is good nights. This is the final round. Our good nights.
Okay, so once again, category is never an SNL guest. Don't play too much of that because I can't. I don't want to get taken down off YouTube.
That's right.
Yeah.
Do we? Is it time for the question?
Nope. We're gonna give them one more time to keep talking about it. Never an SNL guest. So, chat, you guys can also think about what you want to wager. Okay, James, do you want me to read the question, or do you want to do it?
Either way, you can go for it.
All right. Final question here. Of all the former cast members that have not returned to the show following their departure, this person has appeared in the most amount of sketches. I'm going to read it again. Of all of the former cast members that have never returned to the show following their departure, this person has appeared in the most amount of sketches. So, James, we just want to clarify. We are looking for the cast member who has been in the most amount of sketches, but has never returned to the show after their departure as a cast member.
Right. The group of former cast members who has never returned as a guest or a host. Right. I think in any fashion that of all those people who have never returned after their departure, that's a big group of folks.
And but I just want to clarify for people asking for the show. I'm talking about for SNL. So like the person has not had a role in an SNL sketch since their departure from being a cast member. Okay. So I just want to be very clear. So yes, and counting anniversaries. So we are not counting anniversary specials. I just had that's a clarifying question there as well. They have to be in a canon SNL episode and have a role there to actually count. So we're looking for the cast member that has been in the most amount of SNL sketches that has never returned to the show. And this is a little bit tricky, but that's why I want you to be very careful with what your wagers are, chat, and as well as our contestants. Okay. How long do we have, James?
We're good. Time is up. I was allowing you time to speak, to take charge of the room, as they say.
Okay, and I believe we're gonna have Brennan come up for Team A, and then Ian and Brandon. Which one of you? Just give me a thumbs up if you're the one that's coming up for the final question. Brandon. Okay, perfect. All right, so we got Brennan coming up here, and we got Brandon coming up. Let me just switch you guys. Okay, so Brennan, Team Ask Danishers, you guys have done very well so far. You are at 52 points. Dan Hader is down 12 points at 40 points. So first, we're going to start with the answers to what do we decide, James? Answers or wagers first?
We're asking for the answer.
Then the wager
first. Yes.
Okay. All right. So don't show us your wager, Brennan, but let's get your answer to the question.
Okay, we went all the way down to the very last second. Both of us did not come to a conclusion. we bailed each other out a lot throughout the thing, so I'm gonna see if Scott can bail me out one more time. This is not my answer, so I'm gonna blame Scott all the way if he's wrong. We went with Bobby Moynihan as our answer.
Bobby Moynihan. Okay. Brandon, what is your answer for Team B?
Similar to our competitors, we had no clue. It came down to the last second. Ian is going to save my butt here. And if he's
Blaming your partners.
yes. He said Jane Curtin.
Jane Curtin.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Oh, can I give you my answer as well? My other answer that I had. It doesn't matter.
Wait on that. Yeah. Okay. Sure. Brennan, what else were you thinking before we?
I was guessing Tim Meadows was just a random guess out of my head.
Okay.
There.
Tim Meadows actually had returned to the show after he.
Well, see,
so
there we go.
So Tim Meadows would not have been correct. All right, James. Well, this is interesting because one of these guesses is correct, but we will give the answers after we get the wagers. So, Brandon, first, did you wager enough to potentially pass Team A? So, Brandon, let me get your wager.
Well, we have a go big, go home mentality here in the Dan Hater team. We're going with 20.
Okay. 20 points over here. And then, Brennan, what did you wager?
It was 8. We were going to go with 9, but it was 8. So, and he said 4, and then I said, no, we'll go 8. So we can tie in the end if we lose. So.
Okay. Yes. So that's exactly what happened. So James, if they both had guessed the same and they were both correct, we would have a tie, but we actually do not have that situation here. So we do have a winning team over here. James, do you want to give the answer?
It would be my pleasure. The answer is Bobby Moynihan.
Wow.
Congratulations to the Astanishers who come in and win the game 60-40. Great job. And I'm just so impressed with everybody here. So everybody, please wait backstage. I'm going to take you guys down. We're going to bring you back up to say a final goodbye for your teams before we end the evening. So great job, Astanishers. Sorry, Brandon and Ian. Okay, James, let's read out our audience scores for everyone who participated in the audience, okay?
Yes, please.
Big congratulations to my man, John Ananias, who's always in the chat. Really killer. He finished with 39 points. Actually, nobody in the audience got that answer correct, but still, great job for everybody who played along. 39 points for John. In the silver medal goes to Victor Higgins at 26 points, and then a tie for third between Frank and Jenny at 14 points. So thank you all for playing along. All right. Let's start with our losing team. We'll bring them up. We'll bring up Team Dan Hater to say our goodbyes. Ian and Brandon. Ian, coming in so confident. What happened?
I don't know numbers of sketches. I can tell you the air date, the host, the musical guest, and the sketches that were on it, but I don't count. That's your thing. That's what you do best. But that's not what I know.
Okay. All right. That is very fair. But, I know you know everything. So I just have to go into a little bit of an area.
It was a great game, though, and I have to say all the answers given were solid answers.
Yeah, exactly. Really, you guys did really great. So, and I know Ian, regardless, everybody knows you're a trivia pro, so you know everything about SNL.
Can I put a plug in? Is that okay?
Of course. Well, that's what I'm about to do. So, Ian, please tell the listeners where they can hear you and all of your podcasting greatness.
Oh, thank you. I have a show called Ian Talks Comedy. It's on Anchor. Anchor.fm/ one of these things, Ian from English.
Yes, dash.
A dash, yeah, Ian from English. And tomorrow I have an awesome episode out with the OG writers, Marilyn Suzanne Miller and Rosie Schuster.
Yes, that's so awesome. Just the incredible work, Ian. So everybody make sure to check out his show and go back and listen to the archives where I got to talk to Ian about yes. Our, making of our podcast. So really cool to do that. Brandon, so great to get to hear from you. I know I think I saw that you had mentioned you're in a freezing cold dorm room. So I appreciate you battling through for us.
After once we're done here, I'm going to wrap myself in a very warm blanket. It is deserving. It was an honor to compete with Ian. But after this, I'm going to take a long nap. So
yes, For sure. And yeah, thank you again to Ian and Brandon, two of our wonderful patrons at the SNL Network. And I hope to continue to have you a part of our community for a very long time. So appreciate that, guys. And we'll see you very soon.
Okay.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Okay. Let's bring up our winning team, James. Let's bring up
Let's do it.
Brennan and Scott coming up here.
Yeah.
I'm
right.
so happy I came up with Ben Stiller. That was such a good answer. That was my one good thing.
I
Really
had
great job.
just known that Bobby had been on for so long and had so many sketches, but it's also been a relatively short span that's also been impacted by the pandemic, that he just hasn't had the opportunity to return.
James, just lower the music just a touch so we get to hear Scott. Just want to make sure you can hear him. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah, it's okay. I know we love that track. But yeah, Scott, that is a wonderful guess. I did not think that. I wasn't sure if anybody was going to get it.
Yeah, and hopefully with his Mr. Mayor show, I mean, he can come back soon. I mean, he's a great character on that, so we'll see.
He's great. He's great.
Yeah,
He's the best part of that.
They're starting to bring back the TV plugs into the mix. Like when Simu was on, he could have been just as much for Tim's convenience as Shang-Chi. Okay, maybe Shang-Chi was too recent. Or with the just announced host, he was on Schmigadoon, but also had West Side Story.
Definitely. Yeah, it's certainly possible. Okay, well, Brennan, thank you so much. Do you want to tell the listeners where they can reach out to you?
Yeah, I'm KellerB57 on Twitter, and then also I do the Sketch Sorting Sunday and live discussions on the Live from New York subreddit on Reddit. So hopefully you see you next Saturday with the new episode coming out. So.
Yes, absolutely. Looking forward to it. And Scott, you have your handle right up there. It's at the Nick Fan Club. So thank you for joining us.
I'm Scott94 on Instagram, and
cool.
Last year I made a bunch of podcast appearances on The Emperor's New Podcast Without the Acronym, Realm of Immersion, and a few others that were smaller. Yeah.
And now you're on the SNL Network. So anyways, thank you and congratulations to the two of you for winning the game tonight. Really appreciate it.
Congratulations,
thank you, Scott. Thank you, Brennan.
Yes.
Great job. You are now in the
much.
champions circle.
Great.
So great job, guys. Okay, James Austin Stevens Jr., thank you so much for everything for preparing the game tonight. Really appreciate it. Let's wrap up and tell the listeners where they can reach out to you. I know that you don't always like to give the answer, but you got to do it tonight.
Instagram, James Stevens Jr., Facebook, all that good stuff. It's been a pleasure, John, to come back together and kick off 2022 with some live SNL trivia. So thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And, thank you to all the listeners for listening through the trivia night. I hope you had fun. I hope you enjoyed listening to the questions. In case you missed what we did at the end of 2021, maybe you were on vacation and you didn't check your podcasts or your podcast feed. We had two very fun shows, very long shows. We did another draft where we drafted all-time hosts. So if you wanted to go back and you wanted to picture what the fall of 2021 would look like with anybody who's ever hosted Saturday Night Live, you can go back and listen to our draft. We had 8 panelists on the show. It was the biggest show we have done on the SNL Network. That was a great show. I also spent a ton of hours putting together the best podcast moments of 2021, which is up on YouTube and in the podcast feed. So if you want to listen to the best SNL Network moments of 2021, that is a very fun show as we get ready for our January episodes. As for the schedule coming up next week, we'll be back on Monday night for the By the Number show. That'll be our mid-season By the Number show, where we'll have Mike Murray and some special guests on with us to go through the numbers and talk about the statistics from the first half of the season. We will be back next week, hopefully with another SNL Stories. We have Hollywood Dish before the season kicks off for the second half, as well as our coverage of the Ariana DeBose episode and Roddy Ricch. So you can reach out to me at JohnSchneider24 for anything. Find us at the SNL Network on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Subscribe to the podcast wherever you can. And we will see you next time, everybody. Have a good one.